Okay, so we've got this problem, and they want us to find the phase shift, the period, and the amplitude. So I'm going to write that over here. Phase shift, period, and amplitude. All right. So in general, these types of equations are going to be written as A cosine times BX minus C. Alrighty. This B deals with my period. This whole expression in here deals with my phase shift. And this A deals with my amplitude. All right. So the first thing I'm looking at is my phase shift. So whenever I'm doing my phase shift, I'm seeing how much I'm moving to the left or to the right. So what I do is I look at if I pulled out, so in the inside I have 4x minus 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a 4 out times x minus 5 over 4. And I could distribute this back and I would get the same thing right here. All right. And now this tells me which way I'm shifting my function. I'm shifting it to the right 5 over 4 units. So my phase shift is 5 over 4. All right. So that's the phase shift. Move it over here real quick. Alrighty. Now for the period, normally my period is 2 pi. Normally it's for sine and cosine. Normally 2 pi is my period. But because of this 4 right here, it means that if this is my sine graph, or wait, we're dealing with cosine. So if this is my cosine graph, this is 2 pi. Whenever I get to, this will cross at pi over 2. Alrighty. So whenever I plug in pi over 2, I have to multiply by 4. So then it would be 2 pi. If I were to plug this in here, I get 2 pi, which is 1 with cosine. So whenever you're dealing with period, you have to look at this number in front, the 4. And the quick and easy way to do it is if you know what your period is normally, you divide by the number that's in front of the x. All right. So for this problem, normally for cosine, our period is 2 pi. The number in front of the x is 4, so I divide by 4. This is pi over 2. This is my period. You can play around with Desmos and see how the coefficient in front of the x changes your period. But in general, that's what you would do. You have your 2 pi and you divide by whatever your coefficient in front of the x is. Alrighty, and then my amplitude is this last number right here, this 2. That tells me that normally my cosine graph looks like this at 1 and -1. But because there's a 2 there, it's going to go up to 2 and down to -2. So for this problem, my graph would look something like, okay, this is 2 pi. For this problem, kind of, sort of, in a general way, what it would look like is something like this. It would kind of do 2 whoops. It would look something like this. You can plug it in Desmos and see, but it would go down to 2 and back up at pi over 2. Right? So my amplitude is 2. And that would be my solution.